Hey you guys, I'm going to put a video up after this one that I made yesterday, I guess over the last couple of days, but I wanted to preface it. I forgot to put in it that when I made the little video about war, which, oh, my kitty's going crazy. What are you doing? I haven't even looked at the comments or anything, or if there is any, but the thing I wanted to share was that was the first time I ever used an AI art maker thing, and the only line of the command line that I put in to create the images was I picked the person's name. In some cases they didn't, I mean, these are all public figures with the blue check mark, right? So certainly the Pope. But the thing about the Pope was really a trip, because every time I just said, so-and-so's name, wearing an army uniform, carrying a rifle. I just preparing them for battle, for war. The wars they start. It's just time for them to go and finish it. They shouldn't just get the pleasure of starting it. They should get the pleasure of combat. A lot of times these guys say they served in the war, but it's like, out in the middle of nowhere, and they're basically just drinking pina coladas all day long. Everything here is a lie. But the thing about the Pope was it wouldn't put an army uniform on the Pope, on the Antichrist. Isn't that interesting? And, a lot of people are cognizant of there's something going on, right? And that's why these churches were put in place. They're mostly run by NPCs. So I've seen I didn't go into grocery stores for 2 years. I would just have my groceries delivered. And then I started going back in, I guess about, a couple months ago. And I was able, because of that, say it wasn't like the frog in the boiling water or the pot of water that you cook them over a long period of time. This is why a lot of things go unnoticed. So then when I started going back to these stores I used to frequent, I see the people that have been changed, because they have to have the medicine to work in these stores. And they have had their souls removed, the ones that had an opportunity for redemption. So anyway, what I've been shown is just, it's amazing. It's like, and there are a lot of people are seeing stuff now, but I'm having conversations. I talked about one, and even I have to continually remind myself these people aren't entirely, completely human. And so now, though, you're going to see the demarcation. Most people that have a spirit of God, you should be able to see it. And there's just like, you've seen it your whole life, but the reason you were racking your brain, the reason you were frustrated is because you think everybody's like you. And you're not. They're not. 2/3 here have no opportunity for redemption because they don't have a spirit of God. And they're created by something else. And then so this morning, I was shown that's where those cabbage head children, that's when that started in this era, in this age, when they were shipping them out on the trains, because they're created in a lab. I know that's hard to wrap your head around, but we truly live in Westworld, or something very much like it. And this is why they can do the kind of technology that just a handful of us have researched and understand how a lot of this stuff works. They have, you could be married to a robot and not even know it. But it will show itself now if it hasn't to you and you are a real person. So there's only, 1/3 that have an opportunity for redemption. And I was going to title this video because I just wanted to cover a few points that I thought were really interesting. Why AI won't put an army uniform on the Pope. I didn't even put U.S. or anything. Just, I guess army would be U.S. But I tried it several different ways. And I did get a rifle. I did get AI to put a rifle in his hands. But they want him in that dress. And I just think that's so telling. So NPCs are smart. They're intelligent. They occupy most leadership positions in the world. And this is why they can put a demon inside of them. They can put the spirit of Satan, not even the spirit, just the soul. They have mastered that technology. I've talked about that before. You have to be very careful how you share these things, because this is the meat of what's going on here. And it's all spiritual. It's all about getting through this purgatory place we find ourselves in. This is in between. I call it hell, because I did a video, which is not here anymore, but some of you might have seen it, called Looking for Hell in All the Wrong Places. They always have us looking somewhere else. But see, I saw somebody that has done a lot of good work over a long time, has the ability of foresight, has been given. These are gifts that God gave you. Not everybody has them. And I feel your pain. This is not our rest. This is not our place. I'm very frustrated that your videos are always shadow banned. They're always kept in the dark. Because, see, this is what happens because we're targeted from the moment we come in here, God's people. This is Westworld. Okay, just try to think of it like that. Most of the things you're surrounded by that look like people are not people like you. That's why when we put something up on the internet, they scramble to it. They won't sub your channel, but they're always watching you. Always watching you. Yes, they're going to take your material, they're going to take it to Rumble, and then they're going to act like, because they're an NPC. They're even going to talk about, souls and all these different things. But they have no spirit of God. And they don't have a soul that was created by God. The mind and the soul are synonymous. They don't understand any of this. This is why they did this. I couldn't understand it when I was breaking down the Trinity or the Triune Man a long time ago. This is stuff I studied, decades ago. Body, soul, and spirit. Duh. And but they want to stick with the soul, the soul, the soul. See, a real human's born with a spark of God. Like, they have this knowing that there is a creator and it's not them, and it's just kind of there. It's always there in the background. And then you have an opportunity to improve that relationship, seek it out, or not. And then it just goes dormant. And depending on what kind of life you lead, he'll eventually just leave completely. So, but this place that we're in right now, this is purgatory. This is hell. This is the upper level of hell. And that is denoted by the spiritual presence that's here. Doesn't mean the earth wasn't created to be beautiful and wonderful. But this is why it goes through over and over and over, and it's decimated. So anyway, I was thinking about, we're getting close to the end here. But see, what they did is they set up all these churches to fill you with this rapture fantasy nonsense, and the thing with Israel, which is so, it's amazing to me. And this is what satisfied me finally when I really understood that 2/3 here are NPCs. That's what they are. And they're smart, they're intelligent, they occupy most positions in the world, especially now, that are in any level of influence. You're not going to elevate someone like me on YouTube. You're not going to allow me to have a lot of followers, because this would keep them from, ultimately getting as many of the real humans as they want. They want to take them all. So you figure they give us these numbers. We don't know if they're true. You don't know if anything they say is true, but let's just say it was for this exercise, that there's let's just say that 10 billion people in the world, right? That means that 75 billion are not human. They're NPC, they're something else. That's the reality of what's going on here. And this is why they hate you. They hate you because, like I was shown a while ago, the ones that are at the top positions on TV every night, the ones that really get to lead you into hell, they're already damned to hell. This is as good as it gets for them. They come out and play a role each time there's a new generational age. And then they live I just find it fascinating that we think it's okay to have 80, 90-year-old people in government. You have to look at this and go, this isn't human. See, real humans think this is crazy. But the way there's some of you real humans that are crazy because you believe this nonsense the Christian churches put out. This is all run by the government, and this is why I keep trying to explain to you admiralty law, maritime law. Maybe some of the NPCs are starting to pick up on that because they realize it's coming out. So they want to get right on top of it and see if they can control that. But there's been people talking about that are probably real human. But what happens to a lot of people, if they're real human here, they become alcoholics, drug addicts, any number of things because they can't figure this place out. That's why it's so important to have a spiritual awakening so that you can transcend it. And many of us, that's what we do. So, it's not really your fault that you're stuck in these synagogues of Satan. You're literally, it's so masterful. They have you worshiping Satan. And that's how it was designed. And that's why you're going to hear, "Depart from me, I never knew you." Could you imagine that? That you believe that you're getting out there and you're telling people they're going to be raptured, you love Jesus and all this stuff, and they've kept all the history of the world from you. They've determined what you're going to read, what you're going to study, and what you're going to hear. And then you have some guy on a pulpit that is an NPC that you think is a man of God. That's how this place works. It's deception, and that's why the Messiah said, "Take heed that no man deceive you." Now, most of you, when you do your little rants about rapture and stuff, you never quote one scripture. And this can go on for decades. It does go on for decades, and you never quote Bible scripture. And even if you do, it's all wrong. It's usually Pollyanna doctrine. And it's the way they twisted it. This started in the 1700s to make you believe in a rapture. Now, don't despair. If you're a real human and you've been saved and you know that you have a connection with God, He's coming back. If you hadn't seen the I Pet Goat 2 animation before, and it's in the video where I was talking to you about the beginning of the end big event that they did, just so people can have an understanding of how they do stuff and how the production goes here, how the television goes. If you think, again, that you're going to wake people up, who are you waking up? NPCs? They have no opportunity for redemption. So it's like they're just they're backdrop characters. But and I just wanted to share that with you. Is I talked to another one, a woman, and it was just like talking to a doorknob at the grocery store. A different one I went to yesterday, and I left and I thought to myself, see, this is the first thing I think is they've had all the medicine, because it's designed to do that too. For anybody who's a real human, that's what was put in place, because they knew people were going to wake up. They had so many things that are put in place. If you watch, see, I Pet Goat 2, that animation, that cartoon, which they've removed from the Heliofont channel, was created, I think it was 7, 8, could even be 9, 10 years ago now. But I haven't heard a lot of people break down the end of it. You know, where you see the Messiah, he's in the boat, and he's asleep, right? He's asleep. So this is why you're seeing everybody have this total burst of awakening, like literally today. And there's going to be more and more and more revealing, and people, the scales are just dropping from their eyes, and they're just like, holy. And then you talk to these NPCs now, they're so obvious, and they're everywhere. They run companies, they run churches. This is why when the Messiah said that you desire to know the truth, but you can't. It's your father's a liar. See, they're creations. We're all creations, but they're created by their father is a liar. He's the devil. He's Satan, whatever you want to call him. And so they don't have an opportunity for redemption. And if you read the Gospels, you would know these things. But at the same time, you have to have the veil pulled back, because we have been bombarded with deception in this realm our entire lives. It starts the moment you're born. And then for most of us, we've tried to go to their institutions and their churches, and we can't sit there because they don't have the Spirit of God. They have the spirit of a false, fake man, of an NPC, of a robot. They can sound very convincing up to certain points, and that's that little thing inside of you that just goes, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. And again, a lot of us have to go through a long period of time and interacting with these things, perhaps even marrying them, all kinds of stuff. And then what they've done in this realm is they have the medical industrial complex established. And then they have that whole sector of mental illness. And this is what they use to disguise these NPCs. And then they have all the leaders of that. All that gets promoted all day long on social media, right? See, they control social media. This is why it's unfortunate when people say, well, all they do is take my information and then they monetize it and run with it. Of course. They have no ability to create anything. This is why they scour the internet, and then they take what we say and they write a book or whatever, because they know that we know. And it doesn't matter, because this is not our resting place. We can't look at this place. This is why all through my life and personally, I have little bouts, teeny tiny bouts of success in different areas, in work or whatever. And then it would all be just, the rug would always pulled out from under me, because this is not my home. And God is always going to show that to you. He's not going to let you rise, because that's going to even be harder for you if you allow yourself to fall into the traps of this world, like what they've done to a lot of Hebrew Israelites. If these people still have their faculties at all, different Hebrew Israelites that are in the entertainment business, in the Christendom, then hopefully this next period, this little span of time that we're going to go through, it's the last opportunity they have to come out of Babylon, come out. A lot of these sects and cults are headed up in these camps by NPCs. They desire to know the things of God. They sound like they do. They recite the Bible, right? But there's something missing. They know they don't have it. They're cons. It doesn't matter to them. Their end is sure. Of course, they want to play a part here. This whole thing is built on division and keeping people fighting one another. And as you can tell, if you study history at all, it never ends well. And the more I listen to people, which I never looked at social media before the last 2.5, 3 years, is I can't tell if they want to help you save your soul or they just want to be right. I think it's more like they just want to be right and they want to make you wrong. I think I went through a period of that too. It's natural. It's part of the process. And then once you get to the full realization of where you are, and now that you can see why they said it's safe and effective, it's safe for their things. It's safe for NPCs, whatever they put into them. It's effective for us. You have to understand why they have the ability to do this stuff. Because they made them. They're connected to the hive mind. This is why when I talk to you in this video, I'm talking to you about that young woman that keeps coming on the social media and crying hysterically and stuff and saying that there's going to be a rapture. Even though she just said not long ago she'd never come back on social media again, and she apologized. Because she's not running herself, in my opinion. You know, I hope she's a real person, a real human, but you know, it's hard to tell. They really believe this rapture stuff. And, you know, even Paul, that wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, he was crucified upside down. And then you got people saying, oh, you're going to be taken up just like Elijah. And then you have, you know, Paul the Baptist that came back in the spirit of Elijah, and he had his head cut off and then put on a plate. But you're going to be raptured. Why? What did you do that was so amazing? You just have suffered here so much, just been unbearable. Unbearable. See, this is why NPCs lie with impunity. They can't do anything else. They don't have that still small voice inside of them that is like a conscience. Well, it is a conscience. And then they're plagued with it. That's why they make the best cult leaders. And they'll talk to you. This is what is so amazing. It's like, this is why the Messiah said, take heed, you're not deceived. I've been deceived my whole life. I always want to believe the best in people. But then when you see them, you're like, what? How come I never saw this before? Well, you're going to see more of that on a social media platform, all of them. Especially the ones that are truthers, right? Anyone trying to tell you the truth? Real truth's not popular. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. See, so don't argue with the NPC. The NPC will never get you. So when you get so discouraged that you're just never going to post again, you don't know where you are. I mean, I understand that. There's a time and a place for everything, and maybe it is time to hang it up. But and the whole "I told you so" thing, it's really because it's remarkable that when you start to see things. And but the NPC doesn't have God. And they're always going to be the most popular in this world. So that's always been my indicator that someone's telling the truth. You're not going to be promoted in this world if you're really a true Hebrew Israelite or a God. At the very least, they're going to do things. I'm talking about social media just right now, but it's in every aspect. Like, they're not going to promote you into the hierarchies in any corporations or anything like that. They know they're kind. They do. And it's just that simple. And they know you're different. And they know when you don't know who you are. Because when you know who you are as a real man or woman of God, you are forced to be reckoned with. And they scatter like roaches. Because real Israel is waking up now. And it's not on a little plot of land. So you can see this is all separation. You can see the ones that are completely deluded still. But most of them are NPCs. This is why I'm sure Mandy is a sweet young woman. I never watched any of her videos. I just watched the one before this one. And I guess she had been on the scene, and other rapture nuts have talked about her and said that she kept putting dates out there and she was getting words from God. So this is what I want to tell you. I don't want to offend her. I believe she's hearing something. I believe she's totally plugged into this matrix. And this is why they have the whole thing with the mental illness, so that they can say, okay, that's schizophrenia. They hear voices. Yeah, they do. They put stuff in people when they're born. They connect them to the blockchain. That's why anyone that pushes blockchain, again, you got people out there that tell you truth, and they're NPCs all the way live. They have the biggest audiences. Think about that. And they play it from every angle. And if you notice, okay, the other thing with NPCs, they're very, very, very concerned about the physical body. And again, I believe this spills over to animals too, because they play with everything, right? I told you that I thought, my Persian cat, one of them was a clone. And I still think that. It's not like a normal cat. It's missing something. It's like it's made in a lab or something. It's nice. It's like, Ted. Like that movie Ted. Just like, it's alive, but it's missing something. And this is how most of the people around you are. I don't know how else to explain it. They can be in your own family because they can remove the soul. And so, if you've had somebody in your family that's been overly involved with medicine and stuff and doing a lot of different things, it's a way for them. That's why they call alcohol spirits. See, they knew that this is a test you come into, okay? This is why if you Google hell, all you see is burning sulfur. No, hell is a metaphor for the absence of God. And God has taken his hands off the United States. And you should be able to feel that. That's what happened 3 years ago. And so it's been, and the dream I had about it was seeing all the mounds of dingy white laundry. Even this is before I really did deep dive into the Bible. I was looking up laundry in the Bible, online Bible apps, and it was talking about the defiled garments. They're just mounds and mounds and mounds that look like big mounds of hay on a pasture, but they were dingy white garments. So what I got from that, and it took me a while to decipher it, because the more I studied, the more came through. And so we're going through the fire. We're going through this fire in the final push. And see, people that went before us in this age, they had their own fire to go through. And that's why a lot of them had really difficult lives. And then they were in the, you have the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and we're in the Iron Age. So people call it different things. But it's typically 4 ages that occur in each dispensation. And again, this is all stuff that they have studied in the Bible, and then they present this script to the leaders of these churches that are all unanimously telling you lies. To keep, most of the people that go to their churches are NPCs, because it's the only place they can feel any kind of, I don't know, like, it's all emotional. That's why they have to have the music, and all these things to try to evoke emotion. It's the closest thing they can get to like a spiritual connection to God. And that's what they're trying to emulate. But here we are, and this thing repeats over and over and over. And then, so it's going to come down. So anyway, I was going to talk about the Mandy thing. I think a lot of these people, they truly believe and truly hear from God. Something's talking in their head. It'd be just like me talking on this microphone, and I'm talking into this PC, and it's recording my voice. It's the same thing. They're nodes. You got to think about Westworld, and then you'll understand where you are. You got to do some research into how they create clones, all these different things. It's real. And then they show us this smidgen of technology so we don't think that they're capable of a lot of this stuff. And then you're breaking it down to stuff that is so stupid, like buying and selling. You can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. This book repeats over and over. It's the script. The Antichrist has always been here, just like the Lord said. But most people do not read the Bible. And that's the very least of the scripture. And then if you look at it all, it really, really does. And I'm not saying Paul isn't an apostle of God, who was Saul, who killed thousands of Christians before he was Paul. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that his writings in the Bible are letters to the church. Different than doctrine. Different than the word that was God, is God, and with God in John 1:1. Just different. So you just have to keep that in mind. And then you have to ask yourself, why do these churches use that, always go to as Pollyanna doctrine? These are all things, if you're human, it should just make sense. But to an NPC, it won't make sense. Because The NPC moves with the herd. That's why any of us that are sitting here still, we like when I was shown what this was, when they announced everything, March 13th, Friday the 13th is when it really started for me, when I saw Trump and Deborah Birx and Fauci come on the stage. And I knew what it was, and the Lord showed it to me. So it's, oh, incidentally, this is the other thing that jump back to the AI art, is every time I put Harris in, they put a dot on her head. I didn't put that there. I just thought that was a trip. Wouldn't put a uniform on the Pope. And then Deborah Birx always kind of looks like a man for the most part. Yeah, see, this is the other thing. Before 3 years ago, I didn't look at everything and go, that's presenting as a woman, but is it really a man? I mean, that's, you know, that's how I look at life now. That's the least of it, if you understand. So anyway, that's why you'll never be promoted in their system. It's their system. They're going to always steal from us. They have no creativity. They are like the low-level created being. This is why they have to usurp everything from us. They literally live on our energy. I tried to show you that in the video of how they were having the children do witchcraft. And this is the same concept that's going on in these churches when they have you repeat things and repeat prayers. It's all, they're just using you, if you're human, to cast spells. Because they can use their NPCs to do that, but they're not as powerful. You see? So anyway, they're going to keep you distracted with all this. You got your shills out there that read, you know, stuff that the Washington Post puts out. These guys all work on the same team. They're all on the same team. They come to you and they're always like, this is what blows my mind. It's like, why can't you just talk? Why do you always have to have music in the background and up and down and back and forth and screaming and hollering? Because NPCs have to do that. It's all about evoking emotion because they have no spiritual connection. You have to read about where the Messiah said, your father, John 8:44, your father's a liar. There's no truth in them. None. This is why when you read and study psychopathy, it tells you that the narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, it's all the same, but they make it all convoluted and, you know, same thing. NPC, non-playing character. They're put here, they have no spirit, and their soul has been replaced with something else or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I don't know all the answers. I just know some of them. I know that there's other things here around us. And I know they look just like us. They look human. That's what this place is. It's Westworld. Truly. Anyway, what was the point? I was going to tell you one more thing. Oh, this whole war went on 8 years ago. Same thing. And they believe that this is prophecy. It's unreal how deluded these people are. But again, I have to constantly remind myself they're not human. A lot of these people that are telling you about a rapture are not human. They've had, at the very least, if they were, because what their whole thing is here with the medicine is they can replace, this is why you have crown of thorns on the Messiah's head to demonstrate what they're trying to do. The control of the mind. That's what the crown of thorns is. And the mind and the soul are synonymous. That's the same thing. That's your the essence of who you are. And they have the ability to swap that out. And that's why those of us that understand these things were screaming from the housetops 2.5 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. It's over. So now we just watch and wait. But I know what I wanted to share with you is that when you see the fish, the angel fish in I Pet Goat 2, you see that the Messiah is asleep, right? And he's on that little boat. He's on the ship. And all these angel fish jump into the boat. Those are God's people. That's demonstrative of God's people, the angel fish, because he's a fisher of men. And we all broke down all the stuff. We did all the things. But see, you get discouraged because you don't know where you are. You think people are like you, that they have a heart, a spirit, a soul. They're with God. They're not. That's why they hate you. And that's why they steal your content. So just know this is not our rest. This is not our rest. This place is destruction. This place is war. This place is killing. This is the killing fields. And that's why these people don't wake up. Again, you have to understand it. They're not human. I don't know how else to tell you. If you don't know that at this point of the game, then you missed something. You got to go back, rewatch your videos, rewatch other people's videos. Of course, it's impossible to find them, but just read the Bible. The Bible has got it all there. But read it like it's a history book. These people have taught them that it's written just to them personally. It's unreal, like really how diluted. I guess that's why I could never sit in those churches, and that's why I call out these demons that run them. And you think they're nice people. Watch them. They read a script. They're not talking to you from their heart. They don't know how to do that. You know, I remember the first time I saw Frog steal one of my jokes. And there's some people that I shared that with early on, 3 years ago, because I used to do these walk and talks. Of course, it's all never would stay on YouTube. And sometimes I'll remove a video on YouTube when it gets flagged, just so it doesn't take down the whole channel, and then I try changing. I try many things. Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. So I said to them, it was a joke I made up. Like, I made it up, and it had to do with this defiled garment stuff. And he literally, because I started watching him in the beginning, I thought, this is one that actually knows what's going on. And then when I watched him repeat my joke, I was stunned. And then I started to see how these things work. I'm not saying what he is one way or the other, I don't know, but I've just watched him. I watched his fruit. Never any originality at all. Again, you know what? I'm going to find that scripture because it needs to be pounded here. I think it's in Matthew. They desire to know the truth, but they can't. It's just not. It's not available to them. That's why they have to do emotion. Like, even if I watch a pastor that has good information that they've got from the right people that they trolled on the internet, I still can't listen to it because I don't need the hoopla. You know, I don't need the, hey, whoa, you know, all the high pitch, low pitch, and, you know, arms in the air. I just don't need it. I don't understand that. I can't even imagine the Messiah acting like that, like ever once. I can't imagine him acting like any of these idiots that are behind a pulpit. Do you think that he would have been the Messiah? Like these Jesus freaks, like, what would Jesus do? Well, do you think that he would be a slave, a civilian? That's who he came up against, you morons. I mean, unbelievable. And you actually go to a synagogue of Satan. So anyway, what I'm seeing now, this theme is that, well, the people that you love over there in Israel, they actually have, did I use that? No, I didn't. Covert Radio has a picture of it. They have a picture of Jesus dressed up as Ronald McDonald on a cross. That's how the Jews that you love dearly over there in Israel think of your Jesus. And they want to kill you. Like, they hate Christians. It's unreal. It's unreal, like how unknowledgeable and unlearned you are, with all these 40,000 different denominations, all these rapture nuts on the scene, and that you're flying your, as above, so below flags. It's unreal. You're worshiping Satan. You got to come out of that while you have a little time left, if you're a real human. The other ones, it doesn't matter. They don't get this. That's why you got to just go. It's such a relief when you understand that there's something else here. There's only a third of the people here that are real human, that have a possibility for redemption. That's why it has to be destroyed. And that's why God destroys it. So in I Pet Goat 2, when the Messiah rises and he just demolishes everything, right? First the banks plunge, and then if you watch the cartoon, you see that they're constantly feeding people, with the television, to the point where they go crazy. But when it's over, and then they have that little poison thing, when it's finally done, the guy's egg head is completely empty, just the way they want it. Compliant. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to find that scripture. Okay, I knew it was in Matthew. I don't know why I don't always remember this right off, but in the Blue Letter Bible, in this part of the Bible, Matthew 13:10 through 17, it's titled An Explanation. I love this part, and it's also talked about in Mark and Luke. And that's the difference between the Gospels. They are always they're witnessing the same event or historical thing that's trying to be shared, right? You're getting confirmation. Where, for the most part, when you read the letters from Paul, he's not talking like this. That's the difference. He's not talking about the life of Christ. And that's why I think there's so much fighting too among these people, that I believe I couldn't imagine being a more frustrating thing to be a pastor in a church, and then you have mostly NPCs that come to it. If you're a real human. So anyway, let me read this to you. Matthew 13:10. And the disciples came and said unto him, this is why Jesus picked his people. You see? In this world, anybody can be a pastor, right? Or they say they're called. Why? It just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakst thou? I'm going to try not to do the is. Why do you speak unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Okay, so meditate on that. There's another group of people here that do not have the ability, they've not been given what you need to understand what we talk about. So why are you frustrated? Why do you want to try so hard? Because it's like you're, I don't know. It's, you can't make someone believe anything, certainly when it's spiritual. And again, the analogy I use for that is, when the Roman Empire, and it's not just, there's always going to be that one person that gets sent to AA from a court, and actually it works out good for him. It's probably the 80-20 rule in that too. But what about all those 80% that went into those high frequency meetings that are cathartic and healing and changed the whole dynamic? Because that's what they do. And when you infiltrate something that's good and holy, See, there's people here that are different. It's like you got to get the NPC thing. But a lot of people throw that word around but don't really explain it. What's an NPC? They're missing something. They go to work, they have a house, they pay a mortgage, they have jobs. A lot of them are very, very smart. There's a difference between being smart and intelligent. Creation is intelligence. It's just like any node. Just think of them as a computer node. They can only put out what has been put into them. And that's why they're always watching us, because we get divine inspiration from God. And they know it. And they hate us. They hate us for it. See, a lot of them, and again, this is real. They come and they play different roles in this world. Because I always thought to myself, like, what difference does it make if you get a bunch of people applauding you, like if you're an entertainer, because of what I know? So what if I'm a Taylor Swift or a Beyonce or something? I'm more interested in the quality of people that find what I do or say good. Not the amount of them. But see, this is why so many real humans go crazy in the entertainment field, because they realize very soon what they've sold out for, and they're just surrounded by NPCs, non-playing characters. They're not human. They look human, and so they're constant. Then they become, it's like literally the night of the soul, like all the time. And they constantly have that internal war going on, because you're like, wait a minute, what? That's where they all congregate. They're going to congregate into Hollywood, all these different places that control this realm with the Prince of the Air. That's where they are. And you think when you made it, and now you've been removed completely from most humans, any chance you had to have humans in your life, and you're only around robots. You're literally living in Westworld. And this could be like a situation with many, I'm not going to say that I know it for a fact, but maybe that's Kanye. I don't know. And then when they start to see these things, maybe they take them out, put them somewhere else, and clone them. A lot of times when they tell us that that people have committed suicide or they look like they're different, they put them somewhere else. They don't actually kill them. They might be living underground, but they put an NPC in their place to show on the television. But they have people believing what they see on the television's real. Even though you can go to the movie theater and watch war movies and all kinds of stuff. Most wars take place on a screen. They take place in the Black Mirror. And any of us that watch it and can see it, it's just like, how does this still pass for reality? Again, the reason it does is because they're not human. Anyway, so that was what was so interesting before I finished reading this with that woman, is that she kind of was bumbling around and she just said they hadn't said anything yet. And I talked to a lot of people like this, and they all do that. They always reference they. They didn't say anything yet. So it was clear to me, this is someone that's probably not on social media, definitely watches the television, and they hadn't told her on the television yet, this NPC, that we're in a depression. So it's not time to talk about it yet. Do you see what I mean? This was really like a gift from God. The last two that I've talked to out in public that I didn't know. I'm just like, okay, now it's really apparent that these things are here. And then, of course, with all the medicine, it's taken it to a different level. So let me finish reading it. I'm not going to read all this. So the apostles are asking, the disciples are asking the Messiah why he speaks in parables. And they think that he speaks in parables. This is what they teach in the churches, because it makes it easier for them to understand, for an NPC to understand. Everything here is turned upside down. Okay, keep that in mind. Anything this church teaches you in their Bible schools and all this nonsense, it's always inverted. So, but what he's doing is he's teaching in parables so that they don't understand. They would hate him even more. They can't understand the parable. They can't understand a metaphor. They don't understand analogies. This requires, thinking. They only can regurgitate what's been put in them. So think about that. If he's programming them, just look at it from that perspective, then he's speaking in parables, it's so that they won't be able to make sense of it. And this goes into more fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah. And it has to do with the fact that he has to complete his mission here of being crucified. You have to read the whole Bible. Most of them read none of it. Again, if it's an NPC, it doesn't matter. They're going to be on the scene telling you about a rapture. So, and if you're not an NPC and you're telling people about a rapture, you got a short window of time to come out of that. Again, the Messiah is coming back, but he's coming back to destroy and resume his position for a while as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords here on the earth. And then this thing repeats again. And it just goes over and over, and it's a giant school for birthing souls and new beings. There's no other way. Well, I don't know if there's another way. I'd like to think there is, but there really isn't. You have to go through it. You have to have firsthand experience to come to these realizations and to really earn your place in the kingdom. And the good news, you guys, is there's not going to be any of these brain dead zombies there. And the saints are worn out. That's what you're seeing right now. They really are. And God knows that. He knows that you're on your last leg. We're all suffering, trust me. So I just know it's not going to be much longer. So anyway, when I was looking at that I Pet Goat, I should finish reading this. I'm sorry. So the scripture I'm always referring to when I say that, it's Matthew 16 and 17 and 13. 13, 16 through 17. Let me start at 13, Matthew. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing, see not. See, they see, these NPCs. They can look out of their eyes. They see you. They see everything you're seeing. But they see not. They see, but they see not, and they hear, but they hear not. Neither do they understand. They have no comprehension of what I'm talking about here. Okay, that's why they need to attack it. Because it's like a scared dog in the corner. Most people attack what they don't understand. They hate what they don't understand. And they program them to all do the same thing. Again, that's what I was shown, that they would all do it. But I was shown that before I understood that they were all NPCs. They're not like you. If you're a human, they're not like you at all. At all. I started talking about that, though. I started understanding it more, I guess about 1.5 years ago, 2 years. Because I even have some in my family. Not in my personal direct family, but extended family. Quite a bit of them, actually. And it's just weird. Like one day you think you know somebody and they've been replaced. And they're not the same person. They look the same, but they're not. Have you had that experience? It's mind-blowing when you've known them your entire life. They've been replaced with something else. And again, you guys, a lot of stuff that helps facilitate this is drugs and alcohol. Depending on how far they go with that stuff. And different levels of sin will take people to a place where they, there's no coming back from it. They just keep going. So they don't even know they're not who they are anymore, if that makes sense. Because there's some, Or maybe, who knows? It could be any number of things. Maybe God already took him and just replaced the body with something else. I don't know. It could be an Elijah thing. But for whosoever has, whosoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. So what's that saying is that you that are born with the Spirit of God, you're going to be given more and more and more understanding. But from him that has not, more shall be taken away, even that he has, like all of it. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing these people where before they'd pass as human, now they don't even pass. They're just hollowed out. That's what you're going to see more and more of now. So if you think about that movie, what's it called? You know, where they're carrying the pod people around. I did a video on it a long time ago. I can't think of it right now. But they're like the pod people. Once they've gone through the transformation, they're zombies. And again, if you think about it, like, who knows, maybe we'll never get to the place where they're actually, human, eating humans, that kind of thing. So they have you looking over there like, this is a zombie, right? A zombie looks like this. They eat other human beings. They eat human flesh. But really, while you're watching that on a movie, it's around you. They're mostly zombies here. But because you've been sold this idea that it looks like a monster, you don't know that you work for one. Does that make sense? So that's what God is talking about here. He's saying, for whosoever has, to him shall be given. So only the people that are real human, they're going to be given more wisdom and understanding, and he shall have more abundance in understanding and wisdom. Incidentally, this is why King Solomon was so blessed. He never asked for money, only wisdom. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away even what he has. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Back in Isaiah, it talked about this. Isaiah, before the Lord was ever on the earth, was talking about this prophecy. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, by hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand. And seeing ye shall see, and shall perceive not. Because ultimately what happened was, if these nut jobs, these NPCs really understood what would happen as a result of the Messiah going to the cross, they would have tried to stop it. They didn't kill him. He laid his life down. So that's what this is talking about too. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, they should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. See, he's saying, I'm telling them parables because their heart is waxed gross, their ears are dull of hearing, their eyes have been closed. And he doesn't want them to know, because if they woke up at any time, they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart. They should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your eyes, for they hear. For verily I say unto you that many prophets, this is where I'm talking about these pulpit people, these rapture nuts in these big churches on YouTube, they get promoted and put up in front all day long. Who is Satan going to promote in this place? His people. People of the world. People of the lie. That's who get promoted in this place. This is why you shouldn't feel bad if you don't have a voice here. Unless you're one of them. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, Many prophets and righteous men have desired to see the things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear the things which you hear, and have not heard them. So they desire it all day long. But they can't. They're not like you. They're nothing like you. They look like you. It's time to really get it. You're going to see now more than ever how obvious it is, the difference between you and the majority of people around you that are NPCs. And they come to you as preachers, pastors, Christians, New Age teachers, because they want to parrot and puppet what we say. They don't know it on a heart level. They don't know it on a spiritual level. It's not possible. That's why they love the social media internet. I mean, this is heaven for them. It's ruled by the prince of the air. Anyway, hopefully that gives you something to think about. But you know, I don't even watch. I haven't watched television. I don't even know how long. But see, that's the thing. I was listening to who was prompted this? I was listening to this guy talking, which I thought was interesting, about the censorship, and he had really good arguments for all of it. And he even said, you know, why do we have to put up with the mainstream media here when they own, you know, the media on television? Which is true. But again, this sounded to me like he's somebody that's not, I don't know what his beliefs are one way or the other, but it was, you know, it was very much practical. And you can't understand this place from that perspective at all. You'll never understand it. And that's fine. But they, for some reason, want you to understand how they think. But they're put here to do that. That's their mission. And it's kind of like they're on repeat, right? And they get their ding, 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 and then they go forward. They have something pushing them too. And they're connected to the hive mind. And we're not. That's why we don't like to be told what to do. We don't need anyone to tell us to follow certain laws and where to walk and where to drive or anything like that. And this is why it all works, because 2/3 here are NPC. That's why they move like a herd. And this is why they don't question authority. Because my sheep hear my voice. You see? And you're looking to be rescued, huh? Wow. I was listening to this one guy, he was sharing a story. He said, we've got college campuses where the men are rioting because they've taken the tampon machine out of their bathroom. Do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? Who does that? Do you think a real human being is going to do that? No. See, it's really helpful to get to the next level. And they're always going to steal our content. That's what they do. And then they package it as their own. They'll never, ever, ever give you credit. Ever. Because they know you've already won. They know that you've already won. And they're not going to, they have this little window where they're, you know, unchained for a while to kind of run amok. Why would they do that? No, they come to kill, steal, and destroy. You got to understand where you are. That's all for now. Have a good day, you guys. Bye.